Elementallis doesn't hide its inspirations. Instead, it strictly adheres to a simple Zelda-like formula. This allows enemy and level design to elicit progression over the heavy-handed, go-here markers that plague modern games. Look! A heart piece. Inaccessible without fire, the player naturally passes by this when leaving the volcanic area after completing the first temple. The heart piece's allure elicits the player into committing arson to get it, but the path continues, conveniently, in the way towards the next temple. Level design elicits player progression without waypoints or a fairy screaming, "Hey, listen!" Similarly, enemy design eliminates explanatory text boxes that interrupt good pacing. Immediately before getting each ability, a mid-boss demonstrates the element's use, like the Nature Temple's mid-boss planting sprouts to demonstrate the life-stealing aspects of the element. The next room locks the player in until they can prove that they can use the ability to get out, and the rest of the dungeon functions as a playground for future testing. The game forgoes pace-breaking tutorials and text boxes. In fact, only after getting the first weapon and element does the game hint at what button to press. Notably, these cases don't unnaturally pause the game or heavily break immersion. Simplicity contributes to effective design here. Elemental abilities have limited use and most enemies require only the sword to defeat. Elemental puzzles rarely progress in complexity from the dungeons in which the element was originally obtained from. It often feels like a missed opportunity that elements don't interact more, and I can only think of 3 puzzles that require multi-element interactions to solve, one of which was in the final dungeon. This lack of complexity can be easily ignored early in the game, but becomes more glaring on completionist runs or subsequent playthroughs. Thankfully, the game understands how long it should be before it needs to take a bow and exit stage left, and it applies this understanding to every aspect of its design. The story is not really all that complex. Travel to each region and restore the element. These regions feature contained sub-stories told through cutscenes. Long expository dialogue bogs down pacing in similar games. However, Elementallis keeps these interruptions brief, limiting the player's need to skip through "tell me your life story" monologues. Sometimes, the dialogue feels overly prescriptive, especially when it comes to assigning character motivation to the silent protagonist, but the story never attempts to take center stage longer than it should. Dungeons similarly fit the definition of lovely little labyrinths. I rarely felt wanting for longer dungeons or for ones that would end sooner, minus the Ice Temple. Stupid minecarts. The game does better than most in respecting the player's time. Dungeons in the open world overflow with convenient shortcuts that eliminate much of the tedium of backtracking. Even post-release, the developer has added quality of life shortcuts, reducing timely backtracking to upgrade-centric characters. While the game's simplicity, lack of enemy variation, and limited puzzle complexity don't hold up to repeated playthroughs, Elementallis delivers on the promise of a simple Zelda-like experience without overstaying its welcome. It doesn't try to reinvent the genre with awkward gimmicks or a convoluted story. And when it has delivered the promised experience, it has the good nature to respect the player's time by not dragging on. I give it a just long enough out of 10.